So hey guys, it's Robert here from Goddamn Liberals, and I wanted to just do a short little podcast about who, what, when, where, and why. I think we jumped into a couple of topics deep in first, but I wanted to take a moment to kind of back up and share, the story behind the podcast and more details there. So it would just be me in this session. Will has a busy work schedule. It's hard to sync up with him at times. But just to share, who? The first question there, it's myself, Robert, and Will. Will works for a technology company. Was based in California, but when having the option to relocate to Texas, where the cost of living is much lower, that was very appealing. So Will is currently based out in Texas. I'm based in Atlanta. I may put a link out to a little more about myself. I've dabbled in a lot of different areas, from education to technology, other podcast flings here and there. But hopefully this particular podcast will prove to be popular, and we can keep it going even after this next election cycle to elect the two senators from Georgia. So that also addresses, where, being in the middle of COVID, not many opportunities to meet folks face to face, but putting this out on the internet and allowing anybody to pick up on it. We hope that these topics resonate with you. I'm also going to put it out there. We do have a feedback mechanism. So any of our posts, we do watch the Twitter page, the Facebook page, but also put it out there if you are more old school with email, peachnewsnow@gmail.com. Again, that's all one word, peachnewsnow@gmail.com. Always looking for topics, because usually what happens is myself and Will just kind of see something in the news and say, hey, let's talk about that on the next session there. So I want to open it up. There's another aviation podcast that I follow that opens us up for feedback and questions. And so I think that'll be good to go ahead and invite folks to talk about topics or add topics for us to talk about there. What is Goddamn Liberals? So the history of the name there, Will actually came up with that. If anybody's ever lived in the South, due to years and years of the Southern strategy with the Republican Party, there are a lot of very conservative leaning folks and our neighbors that just consider liberals, they despise liberals. So, just quoting some of these typical red conservative leaning folks in their Southern accent of goddamn liberals. So we just happened to stumble upon that name. And actually, I found an article, and there is this is being recorded on December 17th, but there is a series of political ads trying to support Kelly Loeffler and trying to say that Mr. Warnock, used goddamn America in his pulpit. So I think it's very fitting. Tongue-in-cheek and so forth. But that's kind of where the name for the podcast came out. Because, Peach News Now was kind of formed as an entity to combat the conservative-leaning news outlets. We try to publish articles that you don't see anywhere else, and they do, honestly, typically lean left. So that's and a little more of the history. Based in Metro Atlanta, Georgia being the Peach State. Seeing CNN, the news network out there. So I thought about PNN for Peach News Now. So that's a little more history there on how Peach News Now came to be. When? So we're going to try to do weekly episodes of the podcast. There's also an opportunity out there and an invitation to anyone that, has a political leaning, wants to join us. Honestly, conservative or liberal. Looking for others to join us, but Roughly, we want to put it on a weekly schedule if we can, but always recording these sessions so that folks can, go back and pause, rewind, to do whatever they want. Why? So I grew up with very conservative-leaning, parent structure and family. I'm pretty sure most of my family voted red even to re-elect Trump. I do suspect that there are quite a few folks in my family. Again, this is being recorded on December 17th, seeing them again at Christmas. I do suspect that, some folks in the family are going to say, well, we're not going to bring up politics at Christmas because they know the differences in opinions in the room. But these stories need to be told. If they're not being told, nothing is ever going to change. So that was one of the regrets that I had going back to Clinton winning against Trump just over 4 years ago, that I was not as open on my social media about my political leanings. And I think, honestly, it was a mistake. And I think it's very clear what we have seen with the election here in 2020. There is still a huge conservative political movement. And this type of effort I feel that we are doing is not going to go away anytime soon. So that's a little more on the why of what we're doing. So right now we are operating this for free. Some possibilities are out there with our Patreon account to consider doing some sort of a subscription / bias coffee. One of my goals near term is to try to get this podcast on Apple Podcasts. There are some hosting costs and so forth that are necessary to get that done. I think we can get it done. We have the know-how, but I think there is still going to be some tangible costs there to get this podcast out to places like Apple Podcasts and others where folks may be able to find it a little bit easier just from an organic search. So just putting a small little pitch out there for money. If you need to pay your bills, if you need to feed your family, that we do not expect or want your money, honestly. We are both very blessed with the jobs that we have. But, on the side part here, and I think it would lead to creating somewhat of a community if we did have some money coming in to help support the podcast. It also opens up opportunities for advertising the podcast. If you agree with what we are saying, and you don't necessarily have to call in or what have you, or send us feedback, but if you agree with what we are saying, I think you might agree to help us get the word out to more people. Because there are other political podcasts, but there's only really one in the area that I'm aware of. That's the Peach Pod podcast that a former coworker of mine, was hosting there. But as far as I know, those are free, podcasts out there. They also tend to, have both sides of the spectrum on each one of their episodes, pretty much. So I think it's a little bit different, and I hope you like the content that we're planning on putting out there. Otherwise, again, recording this on December 17th. Hope everybody is having, happy holidays. If you travel safely, wear a mask, stay a safe distance, test yourself if you feel like you've been in contact with anyone, because we've got to get this COVID under control somehow. So thanks for listening. Thanks for all your support, and I hope to get you back in soon. Bye for now.